through is uploading to S3. So one of the key things that we do is basically service providers have to upload some key documents that we review in order for us to determine whether or not they can be on our platform. So we store those documents in S3. We also have a table. So S3 is where we store the file, and we have the path to the file. And in our table, we have a table where we store the paths to those files for each service provider. So just, walking through it, for S3 and storing things in S3 from an API perspective, you need a pre-signed URL. That's what allows you to, get or put things. So in order for us to upload, we have to get a pre-signed URL. So we have a backend endpoint that the client is going to call to get that pre-signed URL for that object that they want to put into S3. Then our backend calls AWS3 to get the pre-signed URL. Then we return that pre-signed URL to the client, and then the client uses that to put the object into S3. And then we also then have that the client is going to call a endpoint in our API to confirm that the item has been uploaded to S3. And that's how we store what's in S3 and know the mapping. So yeah, that's it from an upload perspective. And then also we have that a person who's looking for a service, they can see some of those key documents from a service provider. So that requires us to be able to download those images or those objects from S3. And the process is basically the same thing. But instead of getting a put URL, we get a download URL from AWS and S3. We return that download URL to the client, and then the client is able to download the object from S3. And just a quick walkthrough of the code. We can go through the front end and the back end side. So the uploading of the documents, simply put, so for example, in our app, the person selects the documents using their phone, and then we get access to the URI of the document within the phone, and then we just call our endpoint. So this is us getting the pre-signed URL for the document, and once we get that successfully, we are able to, we're doing a put, we're doing a put to S3 of the actual document, and then once that's successful, we do a post to our backend to confirm and to document the document we just pushed. From the backend perspective, so we have a pre-signed URL for uploads, so that's what the client is calling. We have a service for that. So we have a service where we create the URL essentially, and that's using AWS's API. We're using AWS's SDK to, this is how following what AWS wants you to do. We're doing that. Turns the URL, and we're returning that back to the client. Then in terms of the put, that's calling AWS directly. And then the confirmation is making an insert into our database, the S3 file path. And some other information like the doc type and whatnot. So that's from a download perspective, similar process, just that there's not going to be a put. We're calling endpoint to get the pre-signed download URL, and then we return that, the download URL, and then the client gets that and then downloads the objects that it needs.